Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. Warren here, walking in the forest with Kokus. Kokus. I've been hearing a lot about the subject or the topic of transhumanism lately, and it's an interesting subject for me because I like to look at what's new, what's evolving, what's growing, what's changing. I like to look at things like that. I like to look at new technologies like artificial intelligence, for example, or other, like wearable technologies that, although I don't necessarily use those things, like artificial intelligence, I don't really use it. I've used it very sparingly because I realize it has a lot of faults at play. You have to not only do you need to you ask the questions, you still got to go do your own research in any case, and you still got to go do your own proofreading in any case because of the level at which artificial intelligence is now at. But things like this interest me, and they intrigue me, and so does the subject of transhumanism. So if you're not sure what transhumanism is, it's basically, from my own layman perspective understanding, is the basic, it's the intermeshing, if you will, or the intertwining of technology and us as a biological entity. All right, so intertwining and intermeshing technology, aka with biology, the biological being like ourselves, aka Robocop, these kinds of things. All right, those kind of characters. And I think we're already in the throes of transhumanism in some ways. We're already using prosthetics. People can get LASIK surgery, and that's the beginning of like eye transplants, things like that, where they're already talking about down the line where humans will have extremely powerful vision, these kinds of things. You'll be able to see infrared, all of that kind of stuff. All right. And then, we have prosthetics for arms, legs, hands, and so forth. Now, these are good things, right? Or are they? And much like many other subtopics that are kind of like in the forefront of our consciousness at the moment, many years ago, a lot of these things that are playing out right now were put into literature, like movies or TV series and things like that, and it helped us become comfortable with the idea of certain developments and certain advancements in technologies and things like that, because they were done through Hollywood and through movies and series, okay? And people became more and more familiar with it. And it's the same for, in my opinion, with things like prosthetics and that. Yes, they can be good, of course. If somebody doesn't have a leg or an arm and they're missing it, or they have to have an amputation for some reason, that's of course fantastic. The ability for disabled people to start walking again, we all want that for them, okay? As long as they want that for themselves. But if somebody is disabled and they're wheelchair bound, surely that's something that they would want. If they had the technology for them to be able to walk and run and things like that again, they would take it, right? And now that's fantastic. These kinds of transhumanistic elements are fantastic, as long as they are kept within the right hands, the safe hands, and as long as that technology is not used to empower a small percentage of the population and overpower the vast majority of the population. These types of technologies can be used for good, for the sake of disabled, paraplegic individuals, or people with no eyesight, people that have other physiological deformities or conditions that where a prosthetic or something like that would aid their lives and enhance their lives. These are fantastic tools, but those tools can also be used for nefarious purposes, evil purposes, bad purposes, all right, that don't serve the majority of society, or even those that really need them for the purposes they were initially designed for. And this is where I'm talking about, like, for example, the idea with Hollywood and so forth, with us becoming comfortable. If we become comfortable with this idea, then it's much easier to supplant and implant other technologies into our everyday life. all right? Because now we've become accustomed to the idea of it's not so bad, these things, this technology is okay. And if that can help to advance our lives and our lifestyles and make our lives more comfortable and easier, and it's going to be beneficial to us, not for negative reasons, but for beneficial purposes, to enable us to be able to play and love and enjoy life. For example, like technologies with jobs, AI and other things taking over jobs and things like that, that's great. If it means that people are being kept away from heavy machinery which might injure or maim or kill somebody, for truckers, things like that, where you have truckers away from their families for days and weeks at end, and they're on the road for hours on a day. These individuals can spend more time with their families, but what are they going to do once AI takes over? Okay, so that's the other question that I have. It's like, what are these people going to do? What jobs are going to be provided for them? What kind of lifestyle is going to be provided for these people once this AI takes over? And this is the same thing with transhumanism, in my opinion, is that it can potentially lead to very negative results if it's put into the wrong hands. But nevertheless, it's still a very interesting subject for me. And I think that if used for the right reasons and with the right minds behind it, it can produce wonderful things for all of us, for society in general, as long as it's just not abused and it's not used for the wrong purposes. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the subject of transhumanism. I don't know a lot about it. I'm not a scientist by trade or anything like that, or an engineer, that kind of stuff. But it is a subject that does interest me a lot. And all I really wish for is all of us to live happier lives, healthier lives, wealthier lives, more abundant lives. This is why I love taking Kokus out for a walk in the forest. If possible, every day. Some days it's just not possible. But every day if I can, I bring it out into the forest, because it just brings both of us into nature. I get to appreciate my surroundings more. I get to breathe in clean, fresh air. And that's what I want for all of us. That's what I want for all of us to be able to enjoy. Not to live in a smog-ridden city where we don't see the starlights at night. We don't see our children until the weekend. And we're that weekend daddy or mommy. I want for all of us to be able to really enjoy life. And if things like transhumanism and AI enable us to be able to do that and be abundant, live wealthy, healthy, happy lives and be able to play, then all the better for it. But if it's going to be used for other purposes, then I'm not really in for that, because that's just going to take away our freedoms. That's going to take away our I'm going to use a word now. Our rights, our freedoms. It could potentially take away our freedoms, our rights, and the very essence of who we are, by taking away all these responsibilities and just providing us with a life that is mundane, doesn't serve a purpose, doesn't help to, except for a very select few individuals, of course, but doesn't have any real meaning to it behind it, other than providing a financial vehicle for those very few individuals. If that's the case, then I'd rather be here in the forest, living a very simple, basic life. Yes, that's all I want for all of us, is to be able to live this kind of lifestyle. Whether wealth is important to you or not, financially I'm talking about wealth of life, wealth of lifestyle, wealth of living, wealth of relationships, wealth of health, wealth of well-being, wealth of mental well-being, and a wealth of experiences that we can leave behind as our legacy, experiences of the life that we've lived, the full life, a life full of wealth. That's what I want for all of us. Take care. Speak to you soon.